Dumelang babuki ko gae wa lena le dithiwa lena le khono le re mo the range re kopantshitse ke bona Bapedi Kingdom mo eleng gore re tlatla e bile re tlo re tlhalosetsa ditaba ka botlalo ha ke tsamaye ke letse ba tlhela ba re he wena shika noshi today ona a ke shiki ke noshi ke tsamaya le se siaka se simeremedi
a ke go tsamaise mo go rena wa Limpopo TV ke na moremadi ya bolelang ke be go amogele mo leng gona ke re le gone ka ga le dithiatšhe tša bontši tse re gona mo the range mala Protea hotel mo leng gore kopantšhitse ke Bapedi Kingdom wena kopano ile ya rena e bitsiwa go Bapedi Letjema economic planning mo leng gore kopano golo go tlo bolela ka go developa go aga yona naga ya Bapedi ke ra Limpopo ka bophara o se wa shoota mo leng gona e tla le rena o tla o di ka botlalo
We identified that there are 5 key groups of stakeholders. The first group is government, and in our context is the national, provincial, local government. And then you have businesses. Most of you who are here are entrepreneurs. Business people are forming the second group of key stakeholders in any development or a production system. The third are the financial institutions or the tertiary sector that gives financial aid, such as the banks, investment companies, or insurance companies. That is the third. And then we have the research institutions, universities, and the national research institutions such as the CSIR or council, the Agricultural Research Council, and so on. These are research institutions, the Hydrogen South Africa, who are the key primary stakeholder in terms of what we want to see in that area. And then the final one are institutions for collaboration. These are institutions that are not directly involved in the production system, but are powerful institutions that represent their own members within the production system, such as labor unions, organized business. We have organized business, and I'm part of organized business in this area, and Mahoshi and the communities. Now, the idea is to get a general consensus amongst all key groups of stakeholders to focus on key areas for development. And that can be achieved if we are able to get here some kind of what your expectations are, because when you commit to an issue, you would expect a return. So we need to get an understanding of what is it at the end of the day that you expect to, if you are moving with us in that direction, what is it that you expect? And that input, as we started this process today, will be put together and analyzed. And the analysis will start even today, because we're going to be querying you as you present your issues. We will ultimately be able to get into the totality of, to contribute to the totality of thinking in terms of where we are going. And then it is at that level where we'll start now developing a key master plan for the development of the area. We understand each other.
As entrepreneurs, as we said, real business. We're talking more touching on especially our Mahoshi and municipality, a local municipality. I realized enough called Limpopo, the program, very tidily. After on the rural area, there's no more title deeds. Each and everything is lease. To make quick cash and to make or bana ba rena ba tswa kwa university wa create internship mo ba go ja gore na re lawa ra re a re lebeleng di point mo e leng gore ka kgone go generate tšhelete ra thoma ra di lebele gona mo maswi ona tiago mapotlelo mo gare mo ba re ke magarakiseng ke gona mo go na go le tšhelete mo batho ba fetago moo ra go targeta ra kwana le masepala ra re magoši a thome a utilize mo o utilize mo e le gore magoši ka ba re neye mangwalo a di-recommendation o reye go masepala ro applyela spluma then re tšee nagekwe mo re tseba gore tšhelete e se ka loo each and every parastatal ya government today if you want money ba nyaka lease ownership or something else so ke na le nnete ya gore eo yona re tlo e kganyediša because ke re be rena re šeše gore le mo godimo ga yona and already se re na 10,000 hectares mo re nyaka gore na re rena ke ratlo rena re a reka re rekiša rena re bolela ka go developa dimolo mo rente ke e bose a e swanela ka go rekiša and e nngwe gape o siana ko re bolela ka yona ke taba ya university e re alla mane ba ba rena ko makgweng a bo ba šomiša bošaedi yona ba banyane ka go ba kgetlola go ba kgetlola ba go kaone bana university ke go tlang bo ba bore re le ke nka mokgwe mentši gore a re ka e funda jwang le rena re business re ka tsenya letso ke šaiša ke rea dimokgang
Okay, what I let our name make it eventually, Nakena pen patle, what we would treat. A big copella or not Tomamo, reintroducing each other, Pronouns Barak and Nauna. Maru.
Masharaume Silholan.
Ramparel Michelle from Nafco. Holane Moramuche, Maratamanibu.
Levisoke Maudi, Svanike Maudi from the Tola Consultants. Robert Machavele from the Tola Consultant.
Namabucha Sam from MS Mabucha Tennis from Polokwane.
Kimnama Maliza from Awok Network.
Rabone Langa, Reland Project.
Mashila Boskukul.
Buli Maliza from Awok Network.
Pela Kigwangwa from PRG.
Kinata Misotaka from MBH, Masetlauka Business Holdings.
Trovena, Raymond Madri from Masetlauka Business Holdings.
Galina Kikachile Nyongwana, Kitlakili from BMF Capital.
Bomani Fisher from BMF Capital Inc., FinTech Solution, and the blockchain and digital banking.
Palele Mabwana from Bapedi Kindo.
Zeran Spukuli from Bapedi Kindo.
Sekwati Mundodi. Bapedi Kindo. The reason why I'm standing, I'm very close to my senior, my mother, Muhumagadi, Maremadi, Mutab, in my left hand side. According to our culture, the senior people are not allowed to introduce themselves as I, Muhumagadi. No, really. And before I sit down, I see also my senior there, right at the back. He has just arrived. Is Prince
I've also listened for one of my seniors there.
Close to Ntate Mpahlela, I've got parents who are there. So they are my seniors. There's no way they can introduce themselves. I think the baton must be given to others at the back.
Jeffrey Makulwani from Goni Investment and Director at Baobashabira Mining Investment.
Mangwedi Masanza from BMF Capital. Letjema from BMF Capital.
Victoria Mbata from BMF Capital.
Dean Devet from Synergy Energy. Silas Puti Mukwele from BMF Capital.
There's Amir from Sonia Tech Technologies, actually. But recently, I am being honored by working with Mr. Bongani as part of BMF. Thank you.
Piet Bajowski from a company called Biopumps. It's in connection of water. We're doing water pumps and sewage pumps and ball pumps all over South Africa.
Timothy Peary from our Singida Group of Companies. Thank you.
Shadrach Mahutanya Nkobo from Limpopo TV.
Makgaba Lutswalo from Macfin Mining and Finite Media. Thank you very much.
South Africa is uniquely poised to lead Africa on a smart mining and raw commodity processing facilities to final products. Mining sector industrialization. It's about time that we promote black industrialization in particular. We are not racist, but we have to change, the nature of, the previous regime. We have to empower our own people. Nobody's going to come from outside and empower us. Everybody's coming here to take and take and take and take. So we also we'll also be introducing integrated housing, breaking new ground. We're talking about smart city development. People will have to stop traveling for more than 1 hour going to work, 30 minutes going to work. People will have to work, live closer to all amenities. We want integrated smart city development, where we'll have all the industries located in one area. People cannot spend 5 hours traveling to work. That has to change. We also looking at the smart conventional and solar energy mix generation technologies. Smart high impact energy saving technologies. High impact energy saving technologies, which are still yet to be implemented in South Africa. We don't have an energy crisis. We do not have an energy crisis, I maintain. Recently, they've discovered the hydrogen deposit in Mpumalanga. And the University of Pretoria conducted the entire discovery and expedition process of establishing the hydrogen deposit in Mpumalanga. And today we all know, those who are not aware, the world is moving very fast. What is happening is your traditional diesel, petrol cars, even EV cars, electric vehicles, are going to be having a serious challenge because they are introducing hydrogen cars. BMW this year, they are launching, I think it's the i5 or i4 hydrogen car. I5, hydrogen car. And the beauty with hydrogen is that it is renewable. And we've got the resources in Mpumalanga.
You may get seated, thank you. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome Her Majesty. So I'll proceed to invite Her Majesty Tulare to welcome us. Thank you very much. Mahore.
The officials were covered kiruweshire omushade Seribeli Abaram kiruweshire kamuka and the stakeholders Chidikiomo or our business in Manavatulare Kislavare Prime Minister Varena the advisors Java Jona Tarana Jona Avalamona and the investors to the John Holy. We greet them all. We welcome them. And Anavachula is Kalamakala, Hutalirikana. Hutalili Mavija, Livija gave a baby kingdom. Garnets a baby kingdom. Elena Betty is Nale Hotel baby, Amidi. Ratawari Okare Tobi de Moao 2025 Ugocha Bili Valega, the kingdom Jedimwe. Renale Shume Minchi Molimanao Unyaka a development in our school. It's in school Fella where we pick up par. Harayama, we did a rascal, only a rascal, school, get the whole transfer, very or a serious fire, and really speaking. The Zagari, a little from Jarena, Naga Fella, we shall give a baby. She is scared. I look walk for the area. Narito, Taro, very calabash. Lucica Muka, Toby very cabo. Tiloria Carriaja, Camcana Arena. Elevo, one baby, Campara. Uberica Hale, Moni. monyaka gore o tsošološe. That's why mokwe ebile o rata business. Re na le taba ya university e kgapilong e sa tse go ba ona kwa sekolo. Re a e tsošološa e sa tse go ba gona re šetse re e saenetše e sa tse gore e le gona. Jale ke ka lebaka leo le amegago gore le be gona mo discussioning ya rena ya lekgono gore le tle re kgone go bona di-investors ga ba tlo ba le rena mo discussioning ya lekgono. Re tshepa gore ka discussion e go tlo tšwelela dilo tše dintšhi. Se segolo ke gore le kwešišane re fane ditsebe re se ka ra felelana pelo gore mafelelong go be le outcome e kaone go tšwelele gona re be re etse go dira eng ka gore rona batho ba rona a kgoletse a nyaka go bona go na le dilo di phethega kwa sekolo. Pedi ka bophara le nna ke tlwaetse gore ga sekolo a se ba sekolo kwa sekolo bopedi ka bophara lekwebepe o tsebe gore ga lekwebepe ke le wena mo o leng gona ke lekwebepe re tlo itebeloma ke ka lebaka leo re bitšago gothakgoteng ya Letjema gore bana ba thulare ka mešoše tsogang re tle re beng ngatana e tee re tle re beng ngatana e tee ga re kopane re selo se tee re ka se palele ka se palele dilo di sa tlo direga re se ka ra napa ra swana go tshwana le ba le bakilego ba ba bona pele le rena no ba ka na mokgaolo re tlile go tlaba bana ba matšatši a ba nyaka go bona dilo di fetogile ntho e nngwe le e nngwe e le matlhong a bona ba sa tšee leeto ba nyaka go kgwetša ntho e nngwe le e nngwe mo kgausi batswedi ba ba beetše dilo ka moka ba sa tlhake. Re na le university re na le go katla go aga dilo tša go tshwana le ditoropo go tlo nyakega nna ba di-business le tlogele dikgopolo tše di kaone gore go tlo go kgone go amola ntho o ka re ke le amogetše bana ba goši tše ntšhi di tlo tšwa go lena ga le discuss. Thank you very much.
Lekwebepe is the area between Limpopo and the Vaal River. That's how we as the Bapedi see our territory. We'll be distributing a small part that our mother was talking about. It contains exactly what she was saying. It's in English, for those who could not then be able to read what she's been saying. But it's a summary of what she was saying earlier on. And then Her Majesty might at some point be released to go when she's ready to. Then proceed with the program and the presentation. But what is of great importance is that we are using Skukuni as a heartbeat of the development between Limpopo and the Vaal. That is a very important point to underline. So that the wealth that is in Skukuni is not only used to benefit Skukuni alone, but we emphasize that Skukuni is the heart of the bigger body, which is Lekwebepe. Thank you so much. Mr. Fisher, I propose you go ahead with the presentation. when our mother is still here, she can hear a bit of that. Thank you.
We thank you, Your Royal Highness, for gracing and presenting yourself here. It is an honor. Would like to acknowledge you and give you all the respect and blessings from the Most High. Our Royal Highness has articulated our targeted goal and mission. She's articulated very well the issue of the university. We had a project which was supposed to be rolled out nationally with the Seoul, the city of Seoul in South Korea. I was in Seoul, I met with the top business people there. We had a program that we wanted to implement in South Africa. They wanted to bring about 20 investors in various sectors, your mining, education, gaming and leisure, construction and stuff. We engaged with various municipalities. We had a go, but for some strange reason, the project was canned. And there's no better time than now. This was God's engineering. This was pioneered from above. It's been quite some time, but God is beautiful because He managed to ensure that it happens now. It has to happen now. What we planned to do, especially with the issue of university, we wanted to do twinning with the city of Seoul. They wanted to exchange programs with one metropolitan municipality. We were targeting Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality. But unfortunately, it couldn't go ahead. So we'll use Sekhukhune district, and we'll start engaging with our partners who are born and bred in South Korea, who are based there, to resuscitate that program, where we'll exchange programs. The university will be funded. Funding will be secured. And they will then exchange programs. They will do twinning with the Sekhukhune district and the university program, because their plan was they wanted to send their professionals this side and then take other professionals from this side to that side to teach them our languages. Then they will bring theirs this side, because they were planning to move in like China, but unfortunately we had challenges because they wanted political buy-in, and they were going to fund most of the project in the form of BOT, build, operate, and transfer. So I think the time is now. God made this time now. I will proceed without wasting too much time. I was about I think it was the hydrogen energy. I was saying in Mpumalanga, Henrina, they've discovered natural gas, hydrogen underground. They still yet to establish as to how massive it is, but they said it's going to run for a couple of decades. The only problem that we have here in South Africa with regard to hydrogen is the storage and transportation, and we've got that technology. Unfortunately, it was a very short notice. One of our business partners, a Chinese national, who's got a mandate from the Chinese government, who's dealing directly with the Department of Minerals and Energy, was supposed to be here. They've developed the technology to convert hydrogen into gas, which will make it very easy to transport and to store. So we want to turn Sekhukhune into a hydrogen hub. Because with hydrogen, you've got renewable energy 24 hours. We won't be talking about load shedding. There's technologies which were developed. We'll present that probably. It's a topic for another day, but we'll just present the programs about hydrogen. We want to set up a hydrogen powder manufacturing plant here in Sekhukhune, the funding is available to do that. All we need is the district's buy-in and the Royal Kingdom's buy-in. Funding is there to set that up. And we've engaged with ESCOM. ESCOM are looking for innovative programs, and we've got those programs. We've got the experts, they're even willing to bring in the Koreans, the Taiwanese, the Norwegians. The Thais are willing to bring in their expertise to come and do skills development and capacity building and skills transfer. Smart education training centers and smart skills development centers. That's going to be part of the university because it's about time we change our curriculum. We can't spend 12 years from elementary to high school. Then again, you are 19 years old, you've completed your matric, you've got to go to university, you do another 5 years, you come back, you are in your mid-20s. Then again, they tell you, we need experience. By the time you've got experience, you are unemployable. We have to change all of that. We've got the program to address that. In China, you find 6-year-olds assembling laptops, phones, and all this and that. I think that's the first point of departure. We have to look into that. We have to build our own new institutions because we've been institutionalized, and it's a very serious challenge. Sekhukhune is where we'll do the pilot, fund the pilot, and make sure we turn it into a world-class metropolis. Roads, water, sanitation, and agricultural infrastructural development. There is funding in the country, as we speak, substantial amount to fund this program. And Sekhukhune, again, I'm saying and I'm maintaining, is the first point of departure. Food processing and grain processing facilities. It's so sad. We import toothpicks, grapes. We've got salt in South Africa. Grapes are coming from China. Most of the salt we're consuming is coming from America, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, you name it. Yet we've got salt in South Africa. We're gonna come into that. My partners will come and do a presentation also on that. We've got investors who are willing to set up the processing plant. Here in Sekhukhune, there is salt. We can have the processing plants here. We've got the funding for that. The food and grain processing facilities in Zimbabwe, 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, they had to throw away over 2 million grain because they could not process it. We have to wait for Ukraine to supply us with fertilizer. When all the raw material comes in here, we've got to change that narrative. These are amongst the most critical and imperative industries we've identified. We want to establish the smart metropolities and IDZ, development IDZ here in Sekhukhune. This is the Bapedi Kingdom Integrated Economic Development and Transformation Plan. We want to set up a smart city, one of its kind. Since we're going to be here for 2 or 3 days, we'll present that. We won't have enough time to present that now. What we've got 3D designs for the city that we're planning to establish here, with all the amenities, commerce, industries, agricultural processing, facilities, you name it. People will have to work, live closer to all amenities. We want to stop this thing of people having to travel an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours to work. It's killing our families because by the time the mother comes back from work, she's traveled 5 hours, work 6 hours, she's tired. We'll change that. This Sekhukhune will be the pilot. Not actually the pilot, it will be where we will start. We are bringing in a program, a policy, an investment portfolio policy. This is not just, project project presentation, it's a policy, it's a government policy, because if you look at our various business units, our business units are talking to exactly your government department. I'll start with, we've got renewable energy experts, and we are independent power producers in biogas and hydrogen. We are certified with, by NESA. So what we want to do, that's why I'm saying hydrogen, electricity. We've got the company that we've partnered with in Norway. They are producing hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen cars are here. Toyota and BMW, they've teamed up to create hydrogen engines. Our taxis will be running on hydrogen. The trains will be running on hydrogen. Hence, I've said we have to make Sekhukhune a rail hub. We're going to bring in trains which will be running on hydrogen. Jets, planes will be running on hydrogen. Ships will be running on hydrogen. And the hub will have to be here. Northern Cape was declared in 2021-22 a hydrogen hub. It's part of us, it's in our country. Renewable energy and carbon capture storage. Solar balance of system, BOS assembly plant. We have to have, every municipality should have an assembly plant for all solar products. But our ultimate goal is not to have assembly plants, but I think that will be the first point of departure. We want to have our own manufacturing plants, not assembly plants. And all the raw materials comes from here. For your solar, your wafer, ingots, and all this and that, it comes from here. Then we ship it outside, it comes back as a final product, and we buy it and we are happy. We've got the technology here, and we can, rather, let's import the technology, not the final products. Solar systems, manufacturing plants, that's exactly what I was talking about. We will present all of that. We've got complete business plans, implementation plans for these programs. Hydrogen powder manufacturing plant, it will be the first of its kind. They are talking ammonia when they are talking hydrogen. We are talking powder. We'll generate fuel from hydrogen. We'll generate, the Royal Kingdom should be part of our plan in owning a chain of hydrogen filling stations. It takes only 3 seconds. 3 seconds. The technology has been so advanced. Now it's only 3 seconds to have a full tank of hydrogen. 3 seconds. And with that full tank, you can drive up to 1,500 kilometers with one full tank. It's here. It's coming. They are launching it this year. You will see it. And Sekhukhune, it's in a better position to leverage that opportunity. Hydrogen fuel cells, manufacturing plants, it has to be here. All the hydrogen gas will have to come from here for vehicles and for power, for energy. It will have to come from here. Because hydrogen is the next good. It will, renewable energy in the form of, in terms of like your solar PV, wind and stuff, it's got a bit of challenges, but with hydrogen, you'll never go wrong. You'll never go wrong. It's renewable, it's 24 hours. Hydrogen and biogas energy generation plant will have to set it up here. Eskom is in the process of decommissioning most of their power plants from coal-fired power plants. They want to go the renewable energy route. And hydrogen can be used as the base load. Nothing else. Hydrogen can be used as a base load. You can't rely on solar PVs that much. Hydrogen is the way to go. Hydrogen fuel pumps and mass rollout. We've got the company in China, we've got the deal with already to supply the pumps for hydrogen fuel. All we do with the current infrastructure, your Sasos, all your garages, you know, your engines and stuff, we just retrofit. We give them the deal. We want to do it with the Bapedi Kingdom, the Royal House. We'll start from here. We'll roll out hydrogen fueling station. Why the EV cars never took off? The challenge with infrastructural development, it's costly. To fill up an empty electric vehicle can take you 72 hours to to 5 days if it's empty. And it's even worse because you can only drive up to 100 kilometers or so. Then you have to refuel. And the refueling stations, it's another story. So, but with hydrogen, it's going to be very much easy. Then we go to roads and smart transportation. We've got the smart fleet management program that will address, the taxi crisis, you name it. We've got the solution. We'll table it when we're given an opportunity another day. The hydrogen cars and infrastructural development, we'll do it continentally. We'll start in South Africa, go to the SADC regions, and then continentally. We need to help our foreign brothers. We love them, but we've got to create, a way for them to go back home and do business. But we'll start here. We'll embrace them here. Because this is for Africa. It's not only for Sekhukhune, it's for Africa. So it must start from here. I've touched on this, the hydrogen cars and infrastructural development, smart rail and port infrastructure investment and development. Silas, my business partner, will touch a bit on that because we discussed it yesterday and I feel like I should give him an opportunity just to explain what the challenge, because he's from here. He's the son from this soil.
Thank you very much, Bongani. I think where we are sitting now, especially with the support of the capital that is in the country now, to come and support the Bapedi Kingdom, it is very important that we'll draw into the IDP of government and also what the kingdom requires is for a very long time that our kingdom has never taken the rightful place that it deserves. And the capital injection into the kingdom with the vast land that we have and the resources that we have, we stand a very good chance to succeed. If you look at the mineral resources, there is few companies that owns our mineral resources. Your Anglo, your Samanco, your ARM, and a lot of other small companies. But none of that benefit our people the way it's supposed to benefit them. So it is high time that we don't sit and we get told by these companies to say what to do and what to do, not what not to do. We cannot be dictated by people that are not from here, even though the mineral resources are ours, on our land. So we need to take that stand, because whether they operate or they don't operate, our lives hasn't really improved. So it's high time that with BMF, the capital injection in the projects that we're going to run will coincide with the needs of the kingdom and the business people, because a whole lot of them, they can do so much, but there is less capital that they have to be able to expand their operations, to be able to get the off-takers for their products. So it's very, very important that we take this opportunity to be able to drive that. Yeah. What we've also seen as well is that our raw material, a whole lot of them, especially in Limpopo, they leave via the trucks to Mozambique. The rail infrastructure is no longer working as it should be. We send the raw materials up to China. They go and process it, create the steel and sell it back to us at 10 times to 20 times the price. So it is extremely important that the realities that are there, some of these things shouldn't be pie on the sky. We need to start with the low-hanging fruits, where we'll be able to get the minerals that we have in our area be able to do all the relevant studies, appreciate them, put them on the stock exchange so that they can start to earn money. There is a whole lot of opportunities that we can take advantage of. And furthermore is that the capital that we have in the country, which runs into billions of rands, will be directed to the kingdom and under the prime ministers to make sure that we are able to take full advantage of these opportunities that we are having now. And I think BMF INC will be able to support that.
And Kitapela Masatauka Business Holdings to brief us about the water in Skuku.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I guess I need to start by saying the Right Honorable Prime Minister, royalty present here today, princesses, we are very thankful for the invite to be part and parcel of what will go down in the annals, the history annals of this country as one very key cornerstone from a developmental point of view in the area and in the region of Sekhukhune and beyond. We are very happy to be part and parcel of this initiative, and we are very thankful for the invitation. My name is Tabiso Taka. I am with Raymond Mahdi. We are from Masitauka Business Holdings, which is a company that was formed very proudly in the very city where we are. In the city of Polokwane 24 years ago, this company was formed. It is now headquartered in Sandton, but we maintain 2 offices in Limpopo and we'll be opening the 3rd one now. So we still have a significant presence and operations in Limpopo because Limpopo and the city of Polokwane is the birthplace of Masitauka Business Holdings. As a group, we've got 3 companies, and each company specializes in each area, which I will explain now. We've got our engineering firm called MSW. Now the MSW project managers and design engineers, we deal with design of roads, design of water infrastructure, wastewater as well as potable water. We also deal with highways, as I mentioned, and rail. Those are the 3 key areas of specialty of MSW. Among the key projects that we ran are the How Train. We designed the How Train and project managed the How Train, the Marlborough or Tambo Lake. That lake we project managed and we designed that as MSW. Among the many projects that we've done, we project managed and engineered all the FET colleges in the Republic of South Africa under the Department of Higher Education. I'm just mentioning 2 of very key projects that we worked on. There are many others that we have been part and parcel of. Then we've got our second company is Bachuma. Bachuma is in the space of revenue enhancement as well as construction. We do a lot of work for municipalities in terms of their revenue enhancement, where we look at your water, we look at energy in terms of electricity, in terms of metering, correct metering, payment thereof. We maintain the infrastructure, we install the infrastructure, but we also look at other areas, other revenue streams within a municipality. So we go beyond your traditional water and electricity. We start looking at the usage of the land, are the bylaws correct, are the tariffs that are charged for refuse, for a host of municipal services, are they in line with the issue of cost to benefit process. So that's what Bachuma does, and it is also involved in construction. We are CIDB 8 in the different CIDB categories. So that is our Bachuma, Revenue Enhancement and Construction. Then we've got our MIT, Masetlauka Information Technology. It's an ICT company that does end-to-end ICT. One of the biggest projects we've worked on is the new Border Management Authority. As colleagues would be aware, there were 4 departments that were collapsed into one at our 72 ports of entry: air, road, and sea. Those port of entries, we designed the ICT infrastructure and architecture for the new Border Management Authority. So when you go out of the country or into the country through any of those ports of entry, it is our infrastructure that we put in place there as MIT, just to highlight one of the key projects. So those are the 3 companies that form part and parcel of MBH. And as I say, the totality of the group is 24 years, and it was started here in Limpopo, in Polokwane. So I will hand over to Mr. Madi to deal specifically with MSW and its involvement in the water sector in Limpopo here in the Sekhukhune district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taka. Good afternoon, colleagues. Masiari, Tove, for Prime Minister, Urambi Wanamusi, and colleagues, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Raymond Madi, as explained. I'll just give you a bit of a short brief in terms of our involvement on the water area of the district. We were fortunate enough about a couple of years ago to be appointed as MSW to program manage the upgrade of the water infrastructure from the Belen Water, which is the main supply of water in the city of Polokwane. Our role primarily was to program manage the design process for those upgrades. What that actually meant was Polokwane has got 2 sources of water, one being Ebenezer, the other one being Olifants, the Olifants River Bapedi. It's about 70 km east of the city of where we are. Now, our role primarily involved the feasibility study to actually, because the infrastructure has been quite old, it does not align anymore with the developments of the city. Therefore, meaning that was a hindrance in terms of water supply, the economic development, in terms of industry, in terms of population growth as an impact. The old infrastructure as well kept on breaking down, which means water supply shortages, which we all know now, even today we're still battling a bit. Now, our role then became to ensure that that matter has been put to bed. So we did what we call concept designs. In other words, after the feasibility study, to can identify as to how much needs to be done to ensure that the supply increases the levels where it is required. The overall analysis was quite expensive, but we had to come up with a phasing process where we can find the best way in the quickest suitable time to can alleviate the problem. Now, the solution to it from our perspective was that we then did concepts and costing that involved the upgrading and improving of the way on the Olifants River. Because as you know, the river flows, so for you to can extract, you need to dilute it. So we had to improve and increase the way, and then also increase the extraction capacity to ensure that we take up more water. But the trouble was, each year during the rainy season, because of floods and debris, it used to get into the treatment works and cause stoppages. So the solution that we came up with was to create a sedimentation tank on the outside. So we suck in the water, sedimentation tank, the sediment settles down, then we extract the cleaner water into the treatment works. Increase the capacity of the treatment works, after which we then increase the transmission lines. In some areas, we just increase the actual pipeline, in other areas we double it. and then increase the pump stations along the way. Ultimately, increasing storage in the city when then the city will take place. That is really, in a nutshell, that has been done so far. So the designs are done almost to the point where, not so long, hopefully through the client, will be going on construction. But the point that I want to put out, which I really appreciate the invite from the Prime Minister on our side, is that the input of the Royal House is quite important. Because they are responsible to ensure that the benefits socially of that program need to cascade down to the communities along the way. That's from a social point of view. In other words, we need to get good, clean quality water and enough of it. That's number one. Number two, the economic spin-offs of the construction process need to benefit the locals as well. It could not be that such a huge program, just one big company comes and does it, without ensuring that the economic spin-offs are actually realized along the way. And I believe the Royal House has got an important role to play there, to ensure that the oversight thereof, when these things happen, is done correctly, is managed properly, and the benefits can be realized correctly. And also to avoid disruptions. Because when things are done from the Royal House, then there is respect. So the issue of construction mafias and sopedics is out of the window because done correctly. So the Royal House is quite a serious stakeholder in this program. And it's not being part of it is quite problematic. So I'm hoping that through our clients that we will ensure that we facilitate that should not happen. That's a carry on. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
Good afternoon. My name is Maudi. My surname is Maudi. Representing Toro Consulting Engineers. We would like to also be thankful for the invite that has been given by the President. I also want to greet our kingdom in absentia because we are all led by her. The Toro Consulting Engineers have been established in the year 2000. We are specializing in civil engineering and structural engineering. Project management also is part of our role. But the reason why we thought we should be relevant for this forum, because there's engineers, there's civil engineers, there's structural engineers all over Molechi, the whole Limpopo, or even further abroad. What we thought might make us different, because we do design, water, sewer, as like everybody, as like any engineers. What we thought would be key to share with the forum was that in villages, based on the experience and projects that we have done, especially areas like Molechi and so on, the economic spin-offs are very important. And after servicing municipalities and departments, even now we still do, but the demand from our communities remains high, or the speed that our infrastructure development is bringing is not really catching up, even for the past 30 years. So then we embarked on a project. I'm trying to beam it, but I'm struggling, but I'm waiting for it. Then we embarked on a pilot project in Northwest, and we took 14 villages. Actually, there were 17, but we ended up activating 14. In those villages, what we did, I must make a disclaimer, I didn't like the idea before, but we learn every time in our area. For the past 30 years being in the industry, we piloted what we call brick making plant. And this brick making plant is not only making bricks, it's also making paving. And as we run, it was a program. As we ran that, we realized that every village we put about 4 plants. We get into a village, we know, census, we know how many people are there, we know how many people can be employed. For every village we put those plants there. And then all we do as engineers, we just make sure that quality of those bricks, quality of the paving is correct. We partnered with SABS. We also run tests. In terms of sand and weather crusher, depending on what method we do for those plants, we make sure that quality control, we run it and we take responsibility. And every batch that is being produced by locals, we assist them, impart the experience and the knowledge that we have to these locals, so that once this machine is operational, I don't mean the machine, the brick making plant, I mean the concept, the program. Once it's operational and active, we can stand there and look at them and say, wow, they're running their own economy. They can even become their own fabric, or you call it industry, and so on. What also touched me most was that every plant could employ 800 people. Then you have night shift and then you have day shift. Then over and above that, those paving blocks that we have will be used because we are in a village, we don't have roads. And municipality takes, not any offense, any municipal officer, but I've been there, I work for municipality, not any offense to you, but it takes time to come and, for them to come and give us roads. Then we partnered with Public Works and some of the funders, and we agreed that these people produce these paving blocks. As they produce paving blocks, we make sure every machine is properly calibrated at the right time. That's scientific, that's our rule. And then we make sure that every batch of this particular paving are properly right size. That's quality control, right size, right strength. They comply with SABS, and we have results. We are compatible to all the big names that everybody in this house know that produce paving. Then we partnered with Public Works and the municipalities and said, because you don't want to make budget available for the roads of this particular community, here are the brick making plants, here are the paving blocks that are available. Initially your cost, I'm going to give you an example, your cost was going to be X amount. Now we already reduced your project cost in terms of giving us a road as village, for example, or as this particular village. Let's rerun the cost, and then we find out we already have a material, our people are getting paid, everything is reduced, and then those roads, the whole village could get internal roads, bus routes, and so on. And it didn't stop there. It went further to say, because it's the same machine, you just remove the molds and templates, and then where you do bricks, building bricks, it's either you have a mold for, I don't like Mexi. Sorry if there's a supply of Mexi. Why? Because it's 140, and now you have to go and get agreement certificate. Then there's certain structures you can't build with that. Then we decided to go with the proper, your normal size face brick, same strength that is supplied by all the manufacturers. And then in the same plant, you produce those bricks, you build houses. for those people in the village that don't have houses. The same team, you produce bricklayers there, we make sure that they get trained, they are part of the program, they get houses. We make sure that that paving that was used on the road can also be used for those houses. I wanted to show you some pictures, and I didn't want to take long because the more you talk, concentration. But in a nutshell, that's what I wanted to share with the forum. I don't know why it's. Yeah, it's. So, unless you say something, then I can leave you with this presentation, but promise me, because if I deal with you, we make a project, I don't want to take your stuff and mess it up with other people. That's why it's so we can share it here.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. And I'm not going to be long, because I've already drafted in a nutshell of the economic spin-offs that we can get from this kind of an intervention. And then, well, because of engineering background, you know, our biggest worry also is to have communities that don't have water. Really, it's a problem. I remember in one of the, I think it was 2009, we were involved in Moleji. I think I was still here. But they said, Chief, you really think you're gonna give us water while we have more than 8 consultants, 8 engineers that came here and said they'll give us water? How will you get it right? And indeed, scientifically, we managed to Moleji, Motlono, Solo, Hasolono, Habiti, we got in, survey the infrastructure, the existing borehole, because there's a whole river that is supposed to supply these people with water. But how much money are we supposed to spend to draw that water from Old River to Hamashashani, and how much, you know, your infrastructure? Just go down, I think it's the last. Go to the last, this is the last one. No. Did I see? We didn't save it, presentation. This one. Let's take it down. It's brick-making parts. Is can I share it with you? Then you'll have it. So you promise me that you, yeah, maybe not wasting much of your time. So it is our aim to say, as President, if we are allowed, we can also contribute as we contributed in these Moleji areas where we investigated the existing infrastructure. I'm talking about boreholes. Some of the boreholes were old, and some were fine. We could get about 1.1 liters per second. In Hakoroshi, I think I got 10 liters per second. That was like a fountain. And what we did, we said, okay, let's service every village. We put elevated tanks, design this whole thing, and make sure that this particular, we reticulate all the pipes and so on and give them. They were ranging in a average of 220 kiloliter per tank. And I'm saying now, proudly so to say, you go to these villages that I'm talking about, they still have water, which made the difference from the previous whoever so-called people wanted to assist. So these are the two things that we think might assist and or make us different from other civil and structural engineers in connection with community buildings, brick and paving plans. Yeah, this was the concept that we have given this particular department. I've already touched. You can see this is one of the plants. So in a yard, in a brick making, you put minimum 4 of this. And then you make sure that you employ 800 people. You have 2 shifts. They learn, our people get trained. We go down just to save time. I want to go to key. Yeah, these are the villages. You can see 15 villages. These were the costs that we spent on. Also, what I mustn't forget, there's a take-off. If we have a take-off agreement, then funders come, they fund us, we do this. We hold no one responsible to pay or whatever. And then I wanted to, okay, let me share the strength. Okay, in most of our areas, we do have areas where they have existing boreholes. So, because those existing boreholes are there, they are already our assets. So what we do as engineers, we just audit them, verify them. If the water, we still get the water, good water, we make sure we just resuscitate and connect and give it elevated tank so that the community can have now bulk water. But what I'm trying to say, some of the existing assets that diminished, you find that borehole has collapsed. So what you do, you re-drill, or sometimes you get that it gives you water 10 liters per second, but then the water quality is bad. You have class 4 or class 3 engineers will hear what I'm saying. So now we cannot give community such water. Then we have to come with package plant and make sure that we clean the water before it gets to the tank, before being consumed. But that's the part of the engineer. That's where we come in as quality controller. Then you make sure that these 800 people have one person earning, and 800 of them, you can see there's so many families that will benefit. And obviously, if this setup is being given a proper capacity, then we leave the industry. We leave the industry, the area will have their own industry run that for their grandchildren if they take care of all our advices. Well, capital injection, as I'm saying, once we have a takeoff, then bullet number 1 is gone. And then electricity, I've seen electricity in this area. So all we do is just make sure that it's properly connected to our plants, and then we maintain the plants so that it doesn't have a high maintenance in the long run. And obviously the opportunities our community will be having work. It's an economic spin-off. We train them. As we leave, we make sure that they are fine. And then, I mean, it's a commercialized area where we'll have cash injection for our community forever. Okay, don't worry about the last second bullet, because as I said, it was dedicated for the art department. But then, once this industry is on and these breaking plants are operational, then IGR structures factored in a long run. Now, trends, competition of market share and alternative materials. What we are saying here is because you have an engineer like us that will be on site, making sure that we test the particular bricks and so on and so on. That threat might not take place. But if you don't have technical people to make sure that these things are properly done, as we partnered with SAPS and so on, then if it's a threat already, then Makoshi, we believe Makoshi, they are very ethical, not like in an open political area where you get some strikes and so on. Project, you won't get such, you know. Socio-economic challenges, this thing will address them. Budgetary constraints, this takeoff agreement will make sure we get the budget. I've shown somewhere there was a table where I'm showing cost per plant. So let me not be too long. Here I just gave how the operation of such a plant so that people can have an idea. This is how you maintain the plants. This is quality control which rests on our shoulders. But we make sure that before we step off, then our team is clear. They can run this thing many years to come. Let me not spoil the pot while it's still hot. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I'm from a company called Biro Pumps. We've been in business for nearly 40 years now. Ball pumps, sewage pumps. Yes, 4. And that's why I'm so old. And we did do a lot of projects in Sekhukhune, like Tafelkop, Zaaiplaas, and at a municipality itself, and Bosberaad as well, and actually all over the country. From Mapelane to the Kruger National Park, we supply and install all these pumps. We supply the building, we build it, the pipe work, the electrical work, and see that it's in operation. We also train the people, and you make sure when you use local labor, that the money goes back into the local community. Because otherwise, it's always a clever story. We're coming from Joburg, and we've got key personnel which we must bring in, which is not really true. There is also skilled people in the vicinity. And yes, I think this is a brilliant idea. I would like to join in this program with my expertise. And at the moment I've got about 50 people working for me. Well, not me, my son now, but I'm still overall in charge. And yes, I think it can be a very well situated project. I hope you all the best and hope that it's going to work. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maliza. I'm here representing AWOC, but I work across various companies, but mainly in the media space, ICT. Thank you for the invitation, and thanks for the presentation that we got from Bongani. And we saw from the presentation so many areas that we are already involved in. Bongani was talking about entertainment, media, print, all digital space, music, movies. It's all the things that we do. We have studios that we've built in Cape Town, in Johannesburg, in Nigeria, and we consult for various broadcasters and your streamers like your Netflix, your Amazon, and your local ones like your MultiChoice, SABC, ETV. So they're all our clients, and we work mainly in Africa, your Tanzania, your Uganda, Kenya. We've helped them to produce content and produce content that travels, and also how to produce content that they can monetize, not just in terms of streaming and viewing, but also where can they also do the merchandising element, which is another stream of income. Your intellectual property in terms of music. And what we find as well, we work with studios outside, especially in the US, like your Marvel studios, your Disney. And we find that most of the time now they're looking at Africa, and they're looking especially in South Africa in terms of producing some of the elements when they do animation. You find that when they do animation with Marvel, some of those things will be done here in South Africa, some in China, some in India. And we can find like a place now, mainly when they do it in South Africa, they work in Cape Town. So we can make even Skokuni that hub, where we actually produce these things, train the youth, produce content, whether it's animation that is going to be educational, and where we bring even other bodies like your UNICEF, because we're already doing a lot of work with UNICEF, producing content in terms of education and covering some elements that people don't know how to produce for young kids. When you talk about conservation, addressing things like your climate change. So we produce that, so it can travel, we can address serious stuff and young stuff, and stuff that the young ones can absorb. And I think in terms of how, I mean, right now we cannot run away from AI. AI is such a big thing now that we're all using. How do we develop even those studios or cities, etc. as well, where we're going to use, be smart by bringing AI, and then we use it across the rest of the country. So AI is our interest, telecoms is our interest, media distribution is our interest. What we find as well, because what we started in distribution, and in distribution we bring a lot of outside content, mainly from the US, and we bring it even South Korea. I was talking about South Korea, Japan, etc. But we are not transporting or building or producing enough content that can travel around the world. Most of the time, the problem is not the lack of stories that we can tell, but it's the lack of funding, where we can compete in terms of cost per minute, then we compete with Disney, etc. So if you can address the funding side, we can then start producing content even from local Skokun, tell the whole story. Talking about building a city here, it's a series that we can produce, and we can take that and say how you find a district that has been here for a while and now how it's developing, by telling a story, and take that story, make it travel, and everybody then begins to know begin to know and see Skokuni, and that also could be a help now in terms of tourism and bringing people here, and also being a part of a bigger global world where we produce content and we work closely with all the studios. We work very closely with your Marvel studios and your Marvel and Warner Brothers. We've been working with them for many years, but we can begin now, instead of them going to Cape Town, have Skokuni as a hub that we can produce. Thank you.
Sorry. As the Prime Minister said, Kilawa invitation, Kilawa Yamamukila revolution. Yautisha So I've done so many things, more provinces. In the background, local government, I've worked for the government. But however, out of all the things that I've done, mining. I have an interest in mining. There is a truck logistic company that I run. And also, we are in the process of opening a mine called Polokwane. But we also have properties to Goldie, so I'm not going to say much, so Galabur.
The Queen, in her absentia, the Prime Minister, and our Prince, the princesses if they are around, Mahoshi Arena, and the Hoshari. Orahweb, Maybe Kamuka, Kukulana Kok. Well, you know about that, it's in the corner. Kebatamış. Nagi machila upaskuku. I'm sure what when Chibabona the tragajas kuku logistic. Angafa history background theatre. Ngari relevaswan. It's very important to believe into ourselves. I remember to only empowerment, economic. And now they came to me by Arberecum Hogornaka, Ubili Equity, what you call Baraki Bank. I remember Barisa 40 million, I would never come to 40 million. Would be partner in the Garabona Carino. I actually don't know anything about logistics. But I would like to learn this industry. Then what I did, I checked their offer, then to cut the story short, actually people think Skukuni Logistics have started in Skukuni. It's not like that. Skukuni Logistics have started in KZN, in Newcastle, in Dundee, in that area. What happened, I bought one truck. I remember I kept it at home for 2 years, trying to raise money to buy a trailer. Then from there, I got a trailer, and then got a subcontract, not even a contract, in KZN. That's where actually the study started. We built it from one truck, we learned the tricks, we learned how it works, how to manage it, what you attend when we encounter breakdowns and so forth. Then we built those trucks until the banks started to build interest into Sikukuni Logistics. And we start to engage with the banks, they help us where they help necessarily. Then from there we said, but we can't keep on traveling to KZN. We teach some other people in KZN, of which they're still our friends today, how to run this business also in KZN. I said, but we can't keep on doing this. Let's we come back home to Skukuni because we got the mines there, we got the platinums, we got the chromes, we got all difficult, different types of PGMs. Then we moved also gradually. We came to Wheatbank, from Wheatbank, then until we moved down to Zukukuni. I want to say something which is very important and it's very actually challenging to us also as a black business people, the money on its own. When we moved to Zukukuni, I found a man called Samanko. They said to me, we heard you said you can do it. You are the local child. We don't play here. We want to keep you on trial for for 8 months. Then I said, no problem, we'll face the horn. That's why actually I realized I actually started the Lions, because I didn't know that I have to work for 90 days before I have to get the money. 90 days, 30 days, put the invoice, they'll pay you after 60 days. It's not easy actually to run business. But we went through that, and then we managed until we built it gradually. We built the yard into Skukuni, then we switched into property, and then also, not forgetting that also, we learned also to do the so-called contract mining. We mined for Dilokong for almost 12 years. Dilokong underground. Also, it was not easy because they used to give us a complicated area, and the mine I mined the easy area. We survived for that, what you call a critical environment. Unfortunately, I can say sometimes you need to understand the dynamics of the economy when you deal with the business. I remember the value of what you call chrome went extremely down, very down, and then I can't say the name. When negotiating with the unions, I said to the men, look, it's going to be difficult. Don't push for 15% increase. And I remember we employed 2,000 people by then underground. Don't push for that. Let's just see for the survival. He turned and looked at me and said, I'm a capitalist. What? And the mine was so upset. They put it, and even today, the logo cannot be opened. They put the mine on maintenance and care. So up to 2,000 people lost job. And imagining our African, our families, if 2,000 people lost job, one support 8, 10, 15. I saw the economy of beggars was going down. I'm saying these facts because it's realities that now we are business people, now we are people who are going to come on the field. We are with our Maoshis who understand our dynamics on the ground. And then also, I'm happy about our Prime Minister because he's from the government. You will understand all those spectrums when things now they start to sit on the table and discuss. But I said, no, I can't just grow home. Home is not where they're going to say I'm a spoiled child. Then I start to build these businesses into Africa, into Botswana. Recently we are in Ethiopia. I think we have been awarded we are the second company given a license to do BRT in Addis Ababa. We are doing that. The other element that we don't want to mention, but why I'm so excited today is because we got BMF. I heard they said BMF. I was sitting there thinking, I said, BMF, how can I interpret it on myself? I'm sorry, I'm not offending you because when we talk of Sikukuni, we don't talk of color, we talk of everybody. As they mentioned, Sikukuni is up to Likwe, that side of Likwe. So when they say Sikukuni, Tulare, Bapedi, people mustn't think they mean only the one who speaks Bapedi. They must understand they mean the people who are living in that region, people who will need the development. Why I say I don't want to offend, I'm not offending, I'm just giving it my perspective there. They saw black BMF, and I was excited. I saw black money far. It's here now, we're gonna have money, we're gonna work. We will hold him by the hand because why Sikukuni Logistic on its own, it's embarked in developing small, we are not just only looking after ourselves into Sikukuni, we are developing small emerging companies. I don't want to mention their names. We carry them in that 90 days payment. We give them diesel, we do that. That is why many people who actually driving around Sikukuni, they can see trucks written, what empowered by Sikukuni Logistic, which means those are the pain we are carrying on behalf of big players. I don't want to go deeper because we might lose the job if I go deeper. When we go back, this is little bit I can share, but there's a lot we can develop. Sikukuni is an area where actually it's open for people who got open-minded. Look, we don't want to waste 100 years of fighting. Now we want 100 years of development. Because hundreds of years of fighting have wasted a lot of things. It's open for people who will come to develop that area. We want to turn Sikukuni to be. I remember 20 years when I go to Dubai. Dubai was nothing. I went to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, those areas. It was nothing. Today, I'm so shocked. It's because of the oil. You come to Sekhukhune, we are sitting on top of trillions. Some even they take advantage to mine chrome at the backyard and do whatever, but we can't do anything for our communities because we wasted a lot of 100 years of differences, not solutions. This is time for solutions, for development. That's why I'm part of this and I'm excited. Thank you very much.
Honorable Prime Minister, Hoshi Arenalimo, invited guests, I've been asked to make a presentation on 2 case studies, smart city. These are smart cities that Masita Group of Companies is developing. I'm Timothy Piri. I'm the group executive at Masingita City. Unfortunately, my chairman just left for other business commitments. 10 years ago, we conceptualized a smart city at Project Lane in Soweto. We bought land to the extent of 120 hectares. And as we're planning the development, government came on board. They then incorporated 32 hectares of land that they were planning to develop into the smart city. And in that way, we formed a public-private partnership with the City of Johannesburg. What we're developing at Project Land, this is called Masingita City. It's a housing development on 9.4 hectares of land. Masingita City is anchored by a regional mall of 130 square meters. That is the GLA, gross lettable area. We are starting with 55,000 and facing it in. We're hoping that in the next 10 years it will reach its maturity at 130,000 square meters. There is a hospital that we're developing there in partnership with a hospital company, the operator, Element Health Africa. They are our partners in the hospital. We do have a hotel there that is being developed by Sharon, who owns the farm hotel and the Lux guest house, so she's interested in doing the hotel there. We have dealerships already. There have been interests that have been expressed on the dealerships. We have light industries and heavy industries, industrial parks. The reason why we have distinguished these two is because during the presentation of Masingita City to the then Premier of Gauteng, David Makura, he said to us when he drives around Project Lane, he sees many small-scale industrialists who are doing manufacturing of doors, door frames in the backyard, so he wants us to formalize them. And indeed we have done that. We do have also the sports facilities and a school that DPSA has agreed to fund. Now, in the development of this, we were introduced to DBSA, Development Bank of Southern Africa. They then adopted Masingita City as a pilot project for what they call DBSA Vumela product. Now this Vumela product, it's an offering that they use to provide municipal infrastructure. Because a development of this nature, 5.6 billion rand, you cannot develop without government support. So DBSA has come on board to provide funding for bulk infrastructure through the Vumela product. And how this Vumela product works is that the City of Johannesburg enters into a design, build, finance agreement with DBSA. And all that we're expected to do as Masingita Group of Companies is to commit the property rates that will be levied, which are then used to repay the loan that is advanced to the City of Johannesburg. And the City of Johannesburg, together with DBSA, then creates what you call Infrafin, a finance company that will oversee the development of this infrastructure and the funding thereof, up to the completion of the project. Now the tenure of that kind of a funding is between 20 and 25. And during that period, DBSA, from the rates and taxes that will be paying, DBSA takes 30% and 70% goes to City of Johannesburg. So we're on the verge of signing that agreement, and we're hoping that by February, the agreement will be signed so that we implement the project. As we speak, City of Johannesburg has already appointed consultants who are 90% complete with the designs, which DBSA is taking over to start with the implementation. So this is the kind of funding that assists in this kind of projects that are catalytic in nature. The second smart city that we're developing is here in Limpopo, in a village called Uzana. It's around Polokwane, Elim Road, yes. On the main Elim Road, cutting across to Fuani, we bought 190 hectares of land. It's transferred, the zoning is done. All that we're doing now is implementation. We've already built, as phase one, 19,000 square meters of a shopping center. In June this year, we were opening a fully fledged Sasso garage. We are planning other phases. We have signed already in October last year under the chairpersonship of Advocate Mjangu Gumbi. We signed an agreement with the University of Venda because they want to open a satellite university there. And we have assisted the University of Venda to appoint a transaction advisor who will be able to assist with the feasibility study that is required by the Department of Higher Education. So that process is on. We have in that area a hospital, a 300-bed hospital, and already Dr. Natambe secured a license last year in November for a 300-bed hospital. He's busy with the designs that must go to the Department of Health. Once they are signed off, the project will be implemented. There is an industrial park at Kuda City. We are finalizing an agreement with the Limpopo Economic Development Agency because they've expressed interest in participating in the industrial park, noting that Nkuna City is closer to Musina Makado, SEZ. We are concluding a 49-51% arrangement. Already we've got investors who have expressed interest. There is a manufacturing company that wants to manufacture school furniture. We are finalizing an agreement with them. There is a company, Chinese company, that wants to establish a food processing manufacturing firm, because when they were doing their studies, they realized that that region is the fruit basket of South Africa. So they want to process the fruit, package them, take them, export to China. And that is with the support of the Chinese government. We have 520 stands, housing development in that area. These are stands that are already demarcated, the zoning is granted. There is a company called Bapedi Holdings that has been assigned development rights for the housing, the residential component of the Nkuna City. We have also allocated to the local municipality 3.4 hectares of land for the development of the municipal vehicle testing station. They are busy with the planning there. We have public and private offices there that are also being developed. There is also an intermodal facility. An intermodal facility which is a combination of a bus and taxi rank. Because we see that area as it grows being so busy. There's a 100-bed hotel that is being developed as well. Already the designs are completed. Very soon it will be off the ground. So there are quite a number of developments that we are doing in this second smart city, with the support, of course, of DBSA again. DBSA, there is another component, not Funela. It's called Infrastructure Fund, DBSA Infrastructure Fund. It's an institution that has been established by National Treasury, but it's being housed at DBSA. They've expressed interest in Nkuna City, and in our engagement, and this is quite interesting, in our engagement with the Infrastructure Fund, they've decided to use Nkuna City as an investment that also supports the social services for the surrounding areas. As a result, we have brought in the local municipality as well as the district municipality to assist with what the requirements of the local areas are. We have already identified the villages that require services and the nature of services that is required: water, sanitation, roads, stormwater. Because the view of Infrastructure Fund is that there is no need to invest in Nkuna City and disregard the surrounding areas. As we speak now, the budget for infrastructure only has grown up to 1.1 billion rand that they are keen to support. And we're working towards that with the various chiefs that are out there, and also the community leaders, the councillors, and the municipalities, the two municipalities that have been onboarded. And to ensure the feasibility of Nkuna City, we have appointed a company called Cambridge Resource International. It's a US-based company. They are busy with 4 studies: the socio-economic impact study, the economic modeling, financial modeling, and the last one is the feasibility study. Because you need to know how viable your business is. When you present a request or an application for funding to Treasury, they will require this kind of study. So it's money that we're investing in order to unlock 1.1 billion rand. So this is what we're doing, and these projects are ongoing. There are 2 smart cities that we're working on, and Prime Minister, we are ready to walk the journey with Bapedi Kingdom should our assistance be required. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I'm going to concentrate on basically the legality of land ownership vis-a-vis the economic prosperity of communal land, what we call tribal land. It is or has been a problem, obviously. With my profession, I'm dealing with a lot of litigation relating to economic prosperity or economic freedom vis-a-vis who owns the land. And I think basically from the mining sector, taking into consideration what Mohaka said this morning, talking about, and some speakers indicated that this morning, talking about Sekhukhune Kingdom as being very rich in minerals. That's where my focus is. But the community remaining very impoverished. The crux of the problem, or the root core of the problem, is based on ownership. If you don't own, you cannot control. And that's the situation. And unfortunately, in between, there are some legislative provision which hinders ownership, and ipso facto hinders what we call economic development. Government, as a point of departure, will start just by introduction and then come and talk about what we call, I'll raise more questions, coming to the section of more questions than answers. My more question part of answers will be to say that how can we do this? How can we deal with the issues that I shall have indicated? Government has started a long process of providing legislation to transfer land to members of the communities, not to a tribe. And I'm sure you know about the legislation called CLARA, Communal Lands Rights Act, which the government sometimes in 2002 tried to transfer the tribal land into freehold ownership and obviously have the graves and other things in villages to be communally owned. But that legislation did not see the end of the day because of its constitutional state. It did not pass the test of the Constitution. So it has been, and I think Consalesa was very, very vocal. It seemed that there's no way that you can provide freehold ownership in tribal land. Traditional leadership, if you can see the Constitution of 96, 93, and 2000, you'll realize one very simple thing. To say that in the traditional community, in the Constitution, traditional leadership is provided in terms of the Constitution of 96 and 2000. The traditional leadership is provided also, the very smallest chapter in the Constitution. But what is very interesting is that there's no link between traditional ownership and ownership of the land by traditional leaders. That's very, very important. And obviously, we use a lot of legislation and policies to try to close that gap. And notwithstanding the fact that when you see ownership of black people in this country, it is bottom heavy. It's like a pyramid. It's definitely so bottom heavy that at the bottom of the pyramid you find very informal land ownership. Very, very informal. Like as I'll indicate, the very same communal land that we're talking about. And people who don't have even a receipt to show that this belongs to him. that I'll try to indicate. Despite the fact that there was a provision that was made in the policies of the department or government to say that because of lack of this issue, there will be what we call, they introduce what we call interim protection of informal land rights act. We simply call it IPIRA. The question is transfer of mines, surface rights, shopping mall, as they've said from Masingita, is basically done through a legislation, not through transfer of land. It's done based on the legislation called Interim Protection of Informal Land Rights Act. And I'll explain this as we go on. Despite the fact that I want to emphasize this, our land ownership in this country is bottom heavy. A lot of people with informal rights, as we go on, it will be leases. As you go on, it will be deed of grant. I mean, we still have got, in places like Seshio, what we call the township, 293 townships. Seshio, Letjema, Solomon Dale, Hapanex, they still have got what we call deed of ownership, which is basically 99 years old. And obviously, small population of this country own what we call full title, and it is at the apex of the pyramid. So we need to broaden this pyramid to make it in such a way it should not be bottom heavy, but it should be turned the other side around. I want to indicate again, before I go on, what should be done. The question of what is happening as far as what we should do entails. This I'm going to say, or tap into what we call, I'm going to raise more questions than answers, and I think it will be some of the things that we'll read about. Who owns tribal land? Is it the community or the chief? That's the question. I want to read something that it is very, very clear to say that who actually owns the land. The 1996 Interim Protection of Informal Land Rights Act. The 1996 interim, they call it I've said that there's no mechanism in legislation that can transfer communal land to full ownership. That must be, except it can only be done by the 1996 Interim Protection of Informal Land Rights Act. We simply call it the PIRA, has become a tool to alienate communal land. What makes communal land rights informal? I think this is very interesting. We are saying that legislation is in interim protection of it. Are we informal owners? People who are living in the community, informal land owners? No. But this is the act that we are saying we are now informal. What makes communal land rights informal? These people are owners. The courts have become inundated with cases emanating from this legislation that we deal with that almost every day. What is even worse is that you find that in a communal land, we've got trust, we've got CPA, communal property association, we've got trust, we've got this same legal entities, like in mining, it is formed by the legislation that we must either form a trust or whatever the case may be. Corruption is legalized through the legislation. If it is not the members of the government created structure to administer these funds accused. What basically I'm saying is that in terms of the Mining Act, there should be a trust. The question is, what is the position of a traditional council? This trust run parallel with the traditional council. That's a fact. In the case of restitution, you find that the land has been restituted, and I think it's what is happening in most of the land that has been restituted. In the case of restitution, the land should belong to the tribal council, but a separate structure, parallel structure is called the Communal Property Association, which is under the Minister of the Director General of the Department of Rural Development and Land Affairs. That structure replaces the traditional council like the trust replaces. So in that case, you find that two parallel structures are formed. And I think this obviously, people who are from mining will understand what I mean. If when everything is done through these legal entities, whatever is being done, so what then happens is that the traditional council loses power to control its community because of these very same structures that are formed. If not the members of the government create a structure to administer the funds accused, it is the competition between them and the traditional council. That causes the core of my presentation, and I'll come to that later. The losers are the landless majority. Sorry. It is not the members of the government created, it is created structure for instead of funds abuse. It is the competition between them and traditional council for the spoils. What comes there? The losers are the landless majority, some of whom have been relocated. And I'm sure as black people you know this example. People have been relocated because something is going to be done, obviously through this trust and everything. There was certain community that we find that there is community hall. But when the Bapedi community hall inviting people to come to the meeting, they don't go. But they go to either the CP of the trust. This parallel structure is there and we know exactly what it's about. And the second part of it is that if ever a litigation comes, because tribal authority don't have money, they rarely win the cases. But the trust, because they've got money, they win the cases. Because of endless bottom, endless pit that the money is being put to. I mean, a simple thing like saying I want a post. If ever you come from traditional authority, you want to work at the mine, basically you need to work through the trust. That's what is happening, and it's heartbreaking to think about who actually owns the land. I'm going to come to the last portion on this one. It is a fact that land is owned by traditional council. Historically so. That's why we've got hospital. That's why we've got Hamlab. It's not owned by the trust. That is the owner. So the ownership cannot be detached from the traditional council. When you look at this thing historically, it has been like that. Let's come to questions. This was just the background to keep you on the... What questions should we ask ourselves? I've said who owns the land. Obviously, for me, it is the traditional authority. Let me read this. The losers are the landless majority, some of whom have been relocated, while the real beneficiaries are whatever you call it, whoever uses that land for, instead of economic development, but that person uses the other way around. And in this case, you know, Sukuni has got a lot of mines, but whoever has tried to invest in these tribal authorities, the developers or co-opted black economic empowerment beneficiaries. Those are the people who gain. Moreover, there's no market value for the communal land. I'm sure you know, with the Property Rates Act, the municipality is charging a zero rate so nobody can buy it, but it's charging a zero rate because basically they're not providing services like storm water and everything. That is why they are zero rate. So to put something else here before I go to the next thing. This will be my conclusion on this one. The tribe's history of occupation and control over territory determines its land ownership and other land rights. In fact, most tribes are still identified by means of the land they occupy. For example, Askuku, Hamchach, Hamadeg, Belgrade. The land was clearly defined, marked by geographical and other natural features, such as mountains, ranges, peaks, hill bridges, etc. The fact of communal land was not such. The fact that it was not surveyed and registered did not or does not make it anything less than ownership. It does make it ownership. It was because of the old apartheid laws that were not surveyed. But we know that our grandfathers can be able to identify this by so many features. No question that answers. Who owns the communal land? It is the chief. It is the chief with his tribe. Then why do we form parallel structure to destroy the institution of chieftaincy? Who is the connection between the developer, the mine, or whatever the case may be? That should be the House of Traditional Leaders. He should be the one who, when we sign the peace agreement, whatever he has, he must be at the center. He must play central state. But what happens? After that has been done, then all these other legal entities are formed. Who are going to control this? But who is the as we are talking now? And then who is affected in this disparity? The community. Only few, the BE beneficiaries, the developers are the people who gain. And you ask yourself what happened to the community. Mr. Pat indicated that the power debate very clearly that poverty in the rural area, especially school, is going up, it's not going down. And I wish a decision be made to prove that point. In the case of mines, who controls the SLP? It's not the traditional authority. The developer decides where to put the bridge and how much. This must go to the tribal authorities. And what is the role of municipalities? If anyone can raise up his hand, I bet I can give my last half cent. We don't know exactly the role of in the development. They've got everything, things and everything. But I want to rest assure you, their participation is very minimal or insignificant or not even there. Is a pillar, a vehicle for corruption in establishing legal entities. I leave that to you. I've said what I said. Who are the losers? I've said it. Unless you prove me otherwise. Once the real beneficiaries, once the beneficiaries by the developers are co-opted, obviously I've said it. The only people who gain out of this thing is developers and other institutions purported to be developers of the tribal areas or the criminal, the criminal land. Disregarding, not talking to the owners, Hamdaji, Hushad, Hastukun, Hushad. They need to get instruction from that. Not this trust and other things that are coming to come and exploit the majority of the poor people. Question. Out of all this is my conclusion. Giving you the scenario. Should we centralize the functions or decentralize? Should we go on giving these legal entities powers to control our resources? Or should we say that the Sekukuno Royal Council should be delegated to distribute this to the villages and the headmen? I leave this to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Solo Polan. the president of Polokwane. Rena here, people that know us very well. We born a long time ago, 1964. We are the property owners. Everybody here who go to school, when apartheid either, I think no one can say, I never go to a local business to get funding for free to go to school. Even the ANC itself. Prime Minister, I think you can remember the longest serving president nationally, also the ambassador, ex-ambassador, they're now so we got the history of that. If you say anybody who's been harmed, talking about us, we're building this government, but they are not supporting us, especially the parastatal of the government. That's why we're sick, you know, sick and tired. But anyway, today, thank you very much, Prime Minister. I think now the journey is going because right now we've got the experience, business, and we've got the space, and we've got the permission to occupy, and we've got the title lists. Both we have ourselves. Anybody who wants to start to make business, if he can contact us, we can give him a free space, we can pay rental, and all together we can live. So, than to go there and support other not than local people. So here, can I let that share one point another no more thing? Can I have a hard, I won't do it. Muhalalwe, Kena are develop our policies, too much stand up relationship with the municipality, the Maoshis, who understand the language of business and law. Muhalalwe kama mwalo skulu kiramalao, really business. Mukata tawo ya holo vele chande sare kunyarega. Balaban nebo la mabona wale wa nebo there was only one magistrate there. Arke magistrate Michel Karamana. Owano khalwa ina chane. So holo tena skulu there and there. Mr. Michel, now just a welcome speech, but main factor that how Navkok Limpopo, you are very lucky Prime Minister already made the space because I work with Waterbeck, I work with Mopani, I work with Vembe, I work with Estukune, I know you are central, we are here in the province, but down there, this 22 municipality, we got the relationship. Thank you very much.
Jwale ka ga sa ndibishije ke nna Leslie Bushelo ke a leboga sebaka se le mpileng sona Prime Minister ke be fele go bona mo TV on the lighter note re kopana le wena go dula le ke hey ke nna tholi ka matepe ke ra ke itsela go a ka ke mfeta ga nna so renarle banafkok we want to put them on the table. Those two things that we want to put on the table, sorry, but before I continue, I'm not yet an advocate or lawyer. I'm just left with one course to pass my board exam. Then, then I can regard myself as such. So, we want to put them on the table. NAFCOC wants to focus on two things. They are job creation and poverty eradication. We are saying, Lihumone Chachimum, Renale Mugu, Renale Dinoga, Renale with their work. As the advocate has already stated, we are going to contact him when we are going to do our proposals to the Prime Minister to say, we are going to create jobs for the youth. Because what we have also, let me just give you a small example. Do you know that the life, a chicken takes about 40 days to be ready for the market? So why can't we use our land, use our rivers, use our dams to produce food that will feed the chickens? Our youth will be employed as lotters, as daycare people for those chickens. And then we are just going to make sure that the standard of living improves. We have so much land. Imagine if we can partnership with Current Beef. Current Beef is slaughtering more than 2,000 head of cattle per day. What about if we partner with them? Because we've got land, we've got rivers. Even those head of cattle, we can produce enough food for Joanna because we have land. So why can't we use them in a very efficient and effective way? We are still going to do our research. We'll come back to the Prime Minister. We'll give you our proposals as NAFCOC to say this is the way of improving the standard of living in Sekhukhune. We've got the land, the rivers belong to us.
Thank you very much. Afternoon. I think with what I'm getting from the Prime Minister, we have concluded almost all presentations that were here today. And would adjourn, I think after myself, after Mahara, I think the Prime Minister will close as well. But the one issue that we would want to touch on is because we were taking a lot of notes as there were presentations being made, because we don't want to operate like government. I hope they're not here. We want to go straight into implementation so that we don't end up like a talk shop where we're in forums. One day they call them forums, then they change names and change concepts and all of those things. So on my side, there's one interesting factor that I picked up here, and I hope those, now I hope they're here, the guys from Cogta, because I know they were supposed to make a presentation about their LED program. But now, as there was a presentation, as a kingdom, we actually picked it up that there's a presentation that was done by, I think it was by the break making the project. We actually want to implement it and want to implement it today. We don't want to implement it next year or any other time, today. Here's what's interesting about it. In Sekhukhune currently has about 35 active mines. Now, I'm not talking licensed, I'm talking people who are currently digging as me and you are speaking now. They are 37. There's chrome, PGMs and so on. Now, here is why that project becomes a reality, and a reality that we must implement now. I'm sure you are aware that when they are done mining, then guys will go again for the dumps, and they mine, you know, they extract from the dumps and so on. What happens to the sand after mining the dumps? That's the sand that has to be used for those bricks. And that is the sand that is going to eradicate all of those gravel roads in Skuku. Without even my friends in government were trying to sort of kill that tender system, because we'll be manufacturing our own bricks on the other side. So if government wishes to come on board, they must come on board in assisting the communities with the equipment to manufacture those bricks. If they are not coming on board, the very same guys who have been taking our platinum and our chrome for 50 years, or in fact hundreds of years, they have a responsibility to pay for those machineries. And that's one program that I'm seeing that we are going to implement immediately. It's not next year, it's not when, it's immediately, and there's no RFQ for anyone. It's only ourselves. So I think we'll take it up with the Prime Minister and the colleagues who made the presentation. I think that's one of it's. Maybe the Prime Minister will count it in one of his milestones of first 100 days in office. Because we want to see it happen. In 100 days' time, we want to hear what our anywhere else. You are buying them from Skupune soil. That's from Skupune soil, sorry. And then the other issue that is also implementable immediately, which, or rather, let me start with this one of NAFCOC. We want to take it back to you in terms of, we hear your proposal, or rather an example, one of the examples becoming the issue of current beef, partnering with current beef and so on. But on our side, we would want a situation where we would sit down and say, I heard somewhere, in fact, that one man who was a former premier of one province somewhere is carrying a project, was presenting in the investment conference about the issue of agriculture. We are told that our climate in Skupune is very good, in fact with avocados and grapes. I wasn't aware, grapes I never thought. So we need a situation where you can come up with a formula or a program in terms of, you know, for some of us who grew up in rural areas or rather tribal areas, how do we go back and and it's a program that we must embark on with NAFCOC to say how are we going to implement it? Because agriculture is the one, and we've got land, unlike other countries and in fact other provinces. We've got land and we've got fertile land, and whatever we plant will not be contaminated by a lot of chemicals because we've got land. So we need a way or a system in which we are going to gather our people together, with agriculture, whether whether it's livestock, whether it's, it's something that the NAFCOC in the province must lead together with the province, because it can't be led by anyone. We are saying this because we are trying to take out a lot of pressure from our colleagues in government. Because now they don't know, one day they are GNUing, one day they are doing this, one day, while they are still establishing themselves, they must find us leading. And we must take out a lot of the pressure off their shoulders. So with NAFCOC, it's one of the remarks we would want to make, the issue of agriculture, and how are we going to mobilize our people, mainly the young people, into this field. And again, when we have a solution and a program, the very same guys who are mining our land are responsible to fund whatever program we will be doing. Remember, all along, they've been taking what they've been taking out of Sekhukhune land, and they've been saying, when you say you are not funding, say there's no kingdom, people are still fighting. So now there's a kingdom, people are done fighting. So they don't have a choice. Because what they took out of Sekhukhune is billions, and what we are asking for is very little, very, very little. The other aspect goes to our colleagues in the ones who are dealing with water. I think I wrote it on my other, is it something WS? No. Somewhere there, they will get to pick it, to understand it. I'm saying these things so that we don't say things that are far-fetched, that are not implementable. We need to implement. Now, with them, this is what I feel our focus should be. Is it MSW? Yes. Just over the record. Just for the record. In Sekhukhune, we've got what they call the warp dam. That dam is ours. We don't share it with anyone. Don't share it with no Fairwood or no one. It's ours. Now, when that dam is ours, we need to come up with a solution and say, how do we make use of this dam for the people of Sekhukhune? Because there's something about that dam, Prime Minister. These guys of government, there's always something, there's a ribbon cut that they work them every 6 months back. But you ask them, what is it that they are doing at the work them? You will never know. So, these colleagues of ours must come up with a solution and say to us, this is how we can maximize the use of the work dam for water in the district and neighboring districts. You hear them talk of the work dam and so on, but you will never hear them talk of a development around the work dam. This is where now Masingita comes in, where a concept like what you call what you see at RDPS Board Dam in terms of development and residential, nobody ever speaks of it. And in fact, that's the place where, because when you talk of development in Sekhukhune, you have to talk about it from different angles, where you are going to say the war dam there will be an estate there that is high class, and let's say, for example, say Groblersdal, that's where you are going to put up an industrial park, because there's this mentality that people have to think that the kingdom, when you talk of the Bapedi kingdom, you're talking about Mahlalet. No. There's a difference of where the kingdom resides, the headquarters. But the kingdom starts from the Val River until the Limpopo River, including, even Joanna, I can tell you that no, Mayor, but in terms of the land is mine. So we would have to look at that to say, how do we make use of the work there? Where as a kingdom we are going to have a solution for government. Because I feel if we were to sit down with you as engineers and business people, we sit around the table with no tender involved, we are definitely going to come up with a solution. We are definitely going to end the water problem that is facing Sekhukhune. Because you go to Sekhukhune, there's still a water problem today, but then there's the work there, and it's not a very small thing. So I would want us to look at that in terms of how can we look at the work in terms of using the water that can benefit everyone in Sekhukhune land, and the development that can take place around that area. I think on our part, those were the. I saw the colleagues from Masingita have left, but those are some of the guys that we are seeing something that needs to be implemented immediately, where they need to sit down with us as a kingdom and say, this is where you are going to build a new city. Mara, this is not Masingita city or Mguna city, it's a Tulare city. we must put it up front to say the name we are not going to debate. It's a Tulare city. So they need to come and say to us, okay, this is where we feel we can put up a whole new city. Maybe we'll be the first kingdom. You know, when the current president was elected, his first time he dreamt of a city and a speed train. And it never happened anyway. So we are hoping maybe with the 2 years that he's left with, or 3 years, a new city will be in Sekhukhune and a speed train will be in Sekhukhune. And on the other, a very important one, very, very important one that you didn't say it's important. The entertainment side of things. You know, if you don't know the history of Sekhukhune, the real history of South Africa, you will actually think, by the way, they are friends, I must put that disclaimer. You will actually think that the Zulus are more powerful than the Bapedi kingdom. Let me tell you, they've never defeated us in any war. They've never. The Bapedi kingdom, brother, the Bapedi people under Sekhukhune, the second, are the first African tribe to actually operate firearms. The Zulus were taught by us how to use guns. King Sekhukhune used to buy guns from the Portuguese. and we saw and those ones that are still busy with spears, let's upgrade them a bit. And we gave them firearms. If you were to do your proper history, there's a story of 2,000 pounds. That's when their great-grandfather, King Letjema, bought firearms from Sekhukhune II. But because the history of the Bapedi nation and the Bapedi people is not told, you would think that Shaka is the best. It's not. The issue is that our story is not told. The issue is that the story of Sekhukhune is not told. And where we are currently, we are even lucky because Jate is still there. Where Sekhukhune resided, and those areas are still there. So we need to document these places. We need to tell stories about these places so that our story can be heard and be told. Because now, in the absence of the best, these ones think that they are better than us, and they are not. We fought way bigger battles than them. In fact, for them to survive back in the days, they always said, just make sure that Sekhukhune is never next to Letjema, because if they are next to each other, it's going to help this one and they are going to defeat us. So, this entertainment issue, it sounds like entertainment. I'm saying this because for the first time, I went to the movies yesterday, by the way. I went to go watch something. You wouldn't know Prime Minister, I thought you go to the movies. Something called Mufasa. And you look at the story that is being told there. That's the story of African people. But when I watched that thing, I said, man. In fact, the story of Sekhukhune is much more interesting and much better than what we are seeing here. Just that it is not documented. So we need to immediately find a way. If our colleagues are here and we are able to put something on the table and we put pen to paper and we approach government, because remember, they can't really move much because of a tender system. We say, come here. This is what we are saying. We are saying we are developing a series on Sekhukhune. Are you meeting us halfway or not? If you are not, tell us so that we can tell the people that you don't want to meet us halfway. And so that we tell the story of Sekhukhune the way it is. Because currently it's told by wrong people, they are distorting it. When you hear stories of Sekhukhune, in Johannesburg, you walk with so much confidence. You are Hebrew. That's the only story that's there. So we need to correct that. We need to correct that. So when a colleague comes here and says entertainment, immediately piano and all, it's not that. It's this story. And how are we going to tell our story as a nation? I think, that's all from me, Prime Minister.
I want to thank everybody who made a presentation today, and also for me to be introduced to Bapedi. Because my nola we pachimunyefu. I think what came out today, and I'm going to make a very short summary, and all the inputs that you have made will be consolidated into our plan going forward. As we had mentioned, that this is the first of this broader discussion. And then there are other stakeholders that we're still going to be talking to. We'll be talking to the mines, we'll be talking to various communities, we're engaging Mahoshi, and the consultation goes on and on. The end of our consultation will be a blueprint for development in our area. But what came out today is that we are agreeing that we need to reverse the increasing poverty trends. And I would want to say I was listening very intently to Letjema the advocate, the statistics of poverty that we had mentioned in our earlier discussion have been researched. It is not something that we will be researching. It is a fact, it's statistically proven, and that is basically where we are. We need to be united, and we must work and prosper and also ensure that we have a healthy society going forward. There is need to increase and sustain focus by all key stakeholders on the improvement of the quality of life of the citizens of the kingdom, on the enhancement of the status of the kingdom, to enable the youth to develop and apply talent in advancing the improvement of quality of life and sustain economic prosperity. We need to be growing and sustaining leadership, specialization and professionalism in all areas, which are imperative to serve the people, the kingdom, the province, and the country. We must grow and sustain institutional capability and managerial expertise necessary to advance our ideals. In this case, an emotional presentation by Advocate Mahoja on the land question. And I believe it's a very clear agenda, Prime Minister, in terms of what is it that the kingdom should do to make things right. If there is need for constitutional amendment, let it be. Because obviously the status quo advances poverty. I believe also that this should be the end of my summary of what I believe we have achieved today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Let me just say that the Tolo's model of development answers most of the questions that the advocate has raised, and accords very well with my thinking in terms of the slogan, "The people shall govern."
Yes, yes.
Because you put power, you don't have to even amend the laws. As you battle to amend the laws, to do other things, you begin to change the reality on the ground by giving people the capacity to do things for themselves.
Yes.
That's key, very key. You are giving the village economic power back to you. And as you do that, indirectly, you are restoring the centrality of the monarchy, of the traditional leaders. That's what we want to do. we are going to fight for the change of the laws and other things, but we are going to change simultaneously on the ground our developmental paradigm. What that means is that we are going to explore possibilities of using horror, not CC, not the companies that are appointed by mines and so on, but use horror as a base for development. In other words, even if you have got a trust or a section in the 8th company, they must come and report back to the court. If they don't, then you dismiss them. So we give power back to horror. And I want to conclude by saying, it is possible I ask Muhammad, just tell me, what is it that makes you wear a jacket when you go into funeral? He says, no, it's a tradition. I say, oh, it's a tradition. Why doesn't that tradition apply in our development model? That it becomes compulsory for the village to control its own destiny. So that model, yes, I agree, we must implement those projects like immediately and make sure that, and it does not even need anybody's approval. We just go to the village and then we put the machines. We don't change the laws. It begins to be the first step towards building this new model. And I want to thank you for presenting your good selves here and making the presentations this made. Deeply appreciated. Honoring the invitation. And I think we will close the business of this particular session today. And other discussions will carry informally. And we are saying Letjema, rather than because it means working together in spirit. That's why we call this session Letjema. Our people at work. Thank you very much.
Dumelang ke Lady Tiwalena from Limpopo TV. Rana mo conferencing regare wa khatlampana. Ere ke le botjeng re na le ba bagolo ele Dr. Mike Nkuna ba Masingita. Ba mo ba reng we are here to come and listen about all the plans that Bapedi is planning and they will take it from there. I just want to ask this question, Dr. Mike Nkuna, or as you were sitting there, you heard all the plan, you heard what they were saying about everything that is planning. What is your view from this, everything that is been said?
Well, thanks very much, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
And at the invitation of Bapedi Kingdom, which, the Royal Highness is here, and I was invited by our former Premier now, the Prime Minister
yes.
of the Bapedi Kingdom.
Yes.
And when they invited me to come, I said, I'll come and listen.
Yes.
And after listening, we'll go back and decide as to how can we move forward. We have listened what it has been presented so far, and we know that this conference is going for today and tomorrow and Wednesday.
3 days.
By the time Wednesday comes and finish, we'll be able to choose which area we can participate. Bearing in mind that I represent a company that has been the first or the initial founder of the development in rural areas. And we have already having a smart city that we have started elsewhere.
Wow,
but
wonderful.
today we are here to support what the Bapedi Kingdom wants to do, because we have the knowledge, we have the understanding, and we'll even invite them to come and see how we have planned it. Because you see, here in South Africa, we tend to think that things will be done by government. Government won't be able to do it. It's ourselves who can turn it around.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Nguna. They were saying they are here to listen and observe and hear everything that Bapedi is planning to do. 3 days, they are having 3 days. From 3 days, they will decide where they must be or should be, position themselves. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Have a great day. Thank you.
a ke go tsamaise mo go rena wa Limpopo TV ke re gona mo the range re na le o mongwe fa wa dikgoši ke yena ntate Thobejane kgošikgolo Setlamorago yena a tsamaise babogi ba rena ba Limpopo TV a be a re botse ka botlalo gore na le gone maikutlo a bona ke eng go yona kopano e re leng mo go yona ya Bapedi Kingdom. Thabela ntate Thobejane
re a leboga ke kgoši Mafefe wa bobedi wa Thobejane re ikutlwa go ba re tekwa re thabile go ba gona fa kopanong ya Bapedi Kingdom e o e biditšego ka tlase ga Her Royal Majesty kgošigadi Tlhapogadi ya Phahla re na le believe le tshepo ya gore di-presentation tše re tlogo go di hwetša ka mogare di re tlišetša tlhabologo eo e le gore rena re le badudi re le baetapele ba ga Sekhukhune go tloga ka leko go fihla ka bepe re be re iletile. It's over almost 50 years re sa hwetše tlhabologo re sa hwetše motswadi re sa hwetše thekgo le gono re a tshepa gore seo re kopane go le sona fa ba re boledišitšego ka sona sa go sepetšana le tlhabologo ya motse wa rena go tloga ka tše ka moka rena go le tšona le go beakanya dikgoro tša borena tša bopedi re bona kopano e re tlišetša taba tše di botse ka gare ga bopedi jwa borena ka gare ga tšhaba sa borena sa Bapedi.
a ke re le gore lena kgoši Thobejane mohlomongwe a ke re go ba o leng gore ba kua gae ge le ba tlhalosetša ka botlalo ka re ke kwa mo le bolelago ka gore ke kgale le letile kopano mohlomongwe ge le ba fa mantšu a ditutuetšo goba yona encouragement gore no ke kgale and ebile re a tshepa gore go se re se thomileng ngwagong wa 2025 ke se re tlo se tšweletšang we are going to implement this and re a tshepiša ebile re le dikgoši le magoši gore re tla swarišana gona mošomong
no ga se maemo a ka go ka bontšha seo se be se tlhathollwago ka mo gare ga kopano ya rena mara e fela se nka lekang go se bontšha e no ba ka bokopana go no re mmago rena o tlile tlala e tsamaile
a ke go leboge kgošikgolo Thobejane Setlamorago ke re mo leng gona
Mafefe ga Thobejane
alright ke kgošikgolo Setlamorago Thobejane Mafefe
re ntša Setlamorago
alright o se kwa shoota mo leng gona mo wa rena re sa le gona mo la the ranch mo la kopanong ele ya rena ya Bapedi Kingdom re sa ya gona metsi re ya bona
na ona lenyalo e re ke o plaki ba Limpopo TV ba na le package e botse ya lenyalo ya 6,000 rands ka letšatši yona e na le 2 videographers 1 cameraman bona ba tšea lenyalo go ba meletlo letšatši ka moka ba leletše go nomoro e latelago 072 445 8134 072-445-8134 Limpopo TV ke gae
mo go rena wa Limpopo TV re buile gape re sa le gona mo la the range ke na le ntate Sekhukhune mo ena a tšamiše ba rena ba Limpopo TV a be a ba tlhalosetše ka botlalo gore na ge re bolela ka ntate Sekhukhune re bolela ka mang Thobela ntate Sekhukhune
Thobela morapadi le kae
re bone le kae
a wa re tsogile
a ke re go lena ntate Sekhukhune le ratsa le bolela ka Sekhukhune logistic ge re bolela ka ntate Sekhukhune mohlomongwe ga ke re go motho a sa le tsebeng le ka reng go wena ka le mohlalosetša ka Sekhukhune logistic gore na ke eng yona e mo kae go diragala eng ka yona
no ke leboga sebaka se le go leboga invitation ya Bapedi Kingdom ba invite le ba Sekhukhune gore ba be gona le nna re ra gore re tle re kwe development e sepelang kwa ga borena nna ka tswalo ke Mashila o kwa Sekhukhune ke belegetše gona ga Sekhukhune ka yona saetele ya Bapedi ke nna mothomi wa Sekhukhune logistic Sekhukhune logistic e thome mengwaganyana morago e thomela ka ntle ga area ya ga Sekhukhune mara ra e gapeletša le go itšhofa re e bogo gae ke nako e operator e le kwa Mohlakwena steel port ke mo jarata rena e leng gona re na le di-office ka Bakersford tše dingwe di-office di ka ntle ga tšona dipotara tša mo ga Sekhukhune
a ke re o nna ntate Sekhukhune mohlomong wa go le motho o leng gore o nyaka go tseba ka business ya Sekhukhune logistic ka ne ke a bona go na le di-trucker tse di felang di feta di ngodile Sekhukhune logistic mohlomong le ka reng wena ge le mo briefa ganyane about the business gorena rena re le ba Sekhukhune logistic if maybe you want to come to party le nyaka go tsena ka mo mmerekong wa rena gore mohlomong wa le nyaka go dira sa go tshwana le se le rena re se thomileng re le bontate Sekhukhune ka go tlhalosa gore ke leetonyana ke mengwaganyana le thomile business e mogoto ge le mo fa maele le ka reng go yena
gore sa mathomo nkare ntwe batho ba mmala re sa ile mogego gore ntwe nngwe le nngwe mo lefaseng e ka ba economy gore se pele nyaka logistic di-mineral gore di se pele nyaka logistic dikobo e ka ba petrol gore se pele nyaka logistic ke mo kgopolo ya rena ile go ya thoma gore logistic ke kgwebele gore ga e eme tswela pele ke ongoing for as long as batho ba phela logistic e tlo dira le gona because ke yona e movago economy jwale ge motho ge a tsoma go ria go thoma logistic ke e nngwe e dutela gore gantši o santse gore a lebelele area e le gore o rata go ba ka go yona because logistic e na le dikarolwana go na le tša di-trucka tša go mova di-minerale go na le tša go mova diphatlo tša go swa le di-cement go na le tša go mova cargo and so forth mara rena ba Sekhukhune re ile ra decida gore re thome ka tša go mova tša mebaeneng ka baka la re ile ra di bona gore o ka re ke tsona tše kaone ke tša ka gae ko mo maine wago le gore e sa fo ba business ya ba mmala fela ka moka re tsene ka gare ka bare ga yona
a ke re go lena ntate Sekhukhune go kopano e le gono ka mo e bebeditse ke bona Bapedi Kingdom lena maele ya lena le ka reng ge le eletša o mongwe o leng gore jwalo ka baetsa pele ba Sekhukhune logistic le ka reng go bona mohlomongwe wa le ba fa maele gore na out of this session ya lehono seo leng gore re nyaka go bona re se tšweleditše ka morago ga letšatši ke se le se le se and ebile re rata gore going forward re ka nyaka gore naga ya rena e develop le Sekhukhune logistic e gole re e bona e le mokae ka morago ga mengwaga e latelago
se bohlokwa ke gore bana ba bala go dikolong ba ithuti course ya logistic ene ke na le tshepe e tletšeng gore mengwaga e tla ge bona ba ka ithuta logistic e tletšego ba tlo tla ba rana di-business tše tša logistic better thata go feta rena ka bokaone ene sa bobedi go e starta ke nngwe difficult area e le gore ga e bonolo mara ka baka la gore a o ka lebelela gang jalo Bapedi Kingdom ke yekhwe ke na le kgolofela gore one area e ba tlo e lebelelago ke ya go tlo lebelela bana ba baswa le go ba tutuetša le go ba thuša gore ba kry-e mašheleng go starta gannyane ka re batho ba bantši ba gopola gore logistic o kano e thoma ka di-trucka tše legolo gantse o santse se thoma ke one o builda gannyane
no a ke go leboge ntate Sekhukhune ke be ke ra re leboga le maele a le a fang le a fa le sona setšhaba sa Limpopo TV ka ge se bogetše ka e re le sebaka ke re go mo wa rena mo gae o se ke wa šutha re sa le gona mo re sa ya gona metsi re ya boga
ke a leboga
thank you
a be mošatsi
dumelang babogi ko gae ba Limpopo TV ke yena le dithiwa lena go e leng gore letšatši la lekgono re tlhwela ka mo ntše re na le ba Sekhukhune Kingdom ba le busy ba re bolela ba re botša diplane tša bona tše e leng gore tshwanetse di diriwe jale mo ke na le bobaba ba e leng goreng ke bona ba leng gore ba mola company ye e bitswang Ditholo ke bona ba e leng gore ba dila ka constructions a ke tlo bolela kudu ka mmereko wa bona but ke tlo ba fa chance gore ba no re ga tlhatla e re koletse dintšhi ka bona ka mogare ba re le amogela
ke a leboga me Leti ke leboga le station sa lona nna le bitso ke Maudi Sefane ke Maudi ke director ya Ditholo Consulting Engineers ke tlile mo go tlo supporta Bapedi Kingdom ka lebaka la development rena re le Ditholo re na le 30 years re le in the industry re designer ge re itlhalosa ka botlalo we are civil engineers under civil engineering we have roads water stormwater, water purification plants, and so on, you name them. And then we are also structural engineers. Structural engineers, steel structures. We went as far as developing big projects like Botswana, Tambo, and so on. Kabukuchan, what we're trying to say, engineers, it depends on experience. But based on the projects that we have done, we thought let's be different from other engineers. Come up with a case study. Northwest, in communities, the brick making plants. The brick making plants, the bricks, the paving. So there are man. Mo high mo skukun but wa rena ba tlo bola ke tla mo la liste bana ba lena dikolo every village ra planta those plants mo la re di plantile re sure every plant tla khono hira 800 ya ba bereki so every village tla bana le di plant and once ba tla ba bereka the same plant tla be producer paving bricks ibile be producer the bricks tsa hwa meaning ka production if it thoma etswa ba ba sna dintlo go tsa tsona di tena zela ba wa ha dintlo ba ba mo go sna ditsela re tsa yona paving yela ra itirela ditsela ka gore a rena ditsela ke khale re 30 years fedi
re leboga ya re ka lo tšatši le khone re ithuta lo tše dintši le tloa le bonagala gore direla lo tše le botlhokwa tše dintši ke eng village e leng gore maybe le ka no name e tše pedi e tše pedi e leng gore ile la idirela sengwenyana
re gene representa ka mola re presentetse 17 ya di villages tse le gore re fitlhe fela ra planta metšhini re bolelang ka yona batho ba thoma o bereka how calculate wa bona gore it's a lot of thousands tsa batho ba ileng ba benefit and se re se ratang gore ga ba bereke fela ba gola tšhalete re ba fa le training re batla go bona ga mengwaga e ya ba converta di-plant tsela e nna fabriki bona self gore kgono sustaina le ditlogolo tsa bona that's what we are aiming for so that training re ba fang yona re lebella quality ya ditena tseo ra ba ruta gore re testa bjang dia ya dilepe gore in a way e ba di-engineers ka mokgwa o tshwanetseng ke ga mokgwa re o berekang ka ona
le ikwetse ba boge ka moka ko gae hey ya re kwa re leboga kudu ebile re ithuta tše dintšhi šale be ba bolela tše dintšhi ka mola ba bolela different planning gore what is the way forward, what is it that they're going to do ge le lebeletse gona mola ge ntse ba di bolela through those planning le na le wela kae le ka re le ka ke pia mo kae to
ya rena re mo e leng gore tsona di brick plant tse ha ba re create off take agreement re tla le funding ebile re serve this technical this engineering skill re na le yona re tla ka yona gore mmereko e nne wa quality a re rata go bona batho ba ha dilo diwa re batla bona re ira something e leng solid e lor South Africa tlo ba proud ka Sekhukhune the first model of its own for empower community
ya ke kwa ke leboga ke ba ditholo le kwa gore hey ba tshwere mošomo o montši o ba o fapana o e le gore ba go dira and ke kwa ke le motlotlo ka lena ke re ke le dumedišeng ke re ke a leboga
go leboga rena sister
mo re wa rena wa Limpopo TV ya ke o tamiše ke be ke go amogela re buile re sa le gona mona Tarantšhe re na le mme Mothapo mo ke yena kgošigadi Mothapo moremadi Mothapo ga tamiše babogi ba rena ba Limpopo TV a ba tamiše mo ba leng gona re tlhalosetse le ka botlalo gore na bona le gono ba e kwa jwang ka morago ga yona session e ya le gono ya Bapedi Kingdom mo leng gore be go kopantšwe megopolo fa go bolela ka yona development ya yona naga e ya borena ya Bapedi
a re ke di dumedišeng bagaši ke dumediše le babogedi ka moka ba Limpopo TV ke re thobela
a ke re go lena kgošigadi mma gore ena Mothapo a ke re go babogedi kwa gae motlhomong le ka reng go bona le ba tlhalosetša ka kopano ya legono le gore ke eng seo leng gore le nyaka go bona mafelelong a letšatši le se tšweleditše ka morago ga kopano ye e leng ya mo Tarantšhe legono
rena ke le moemedi wa setšhaba sa mo Limpopo ke tloga ke thabile kudu ka se Bapedi Kingdom ba se dirago a se dirile le kgono ruri re ka thaba kudu ge re ka bona tlala e tswela ka gae lo tšetše tharo e le go tlala e le go bohloki e le go tlhokego ya mešomo ka moka di akaretswa di fiwa šedi e e swanetšeng gore e fiwe bao ba kgonago ba hwetše mešomo tlala e tswe ka gae le a tseba gore Limpopo re bjale ka ge re le province engwe ya dinagamagae tša kgale go ne bohloko bo bontši kudu mara e fela nto e makatšago kudu gona kwa ga sekhukhune go ne lehumo le legologolo la diminerale la diepio bjalo e swanetše gore kgopolo yewe e fetolwe e fetoge batho ba hwetše mešomo batho tlala e tswe ka gae bodidi botswe ke se nepokgolo ya kopano ya lekgono ke bona ebile le mohuta wa batho ba ba memilweng mo le ba kwele le lena bjalo ka Limpopo TV le ba tloga ba tšitše ka matonse and ebile ke leboga Limpopo TV ka gore go beng gona mo e tla kgona batho ba bone gore ke eng se Bapedi Kingdom ba nyakang go se dira ke kwa ke thaba kudu ebile ke a leboga o ka re le ka gola la gola tšhukudu e be mošimane go lena
a ke go leboge Kgošigadi Mothapo ke re mohlomongwe re lebeletse gona kua tabeng e le ya moepo kane yona ke e mentšhi kudu go bolela nnete ge re bolela ka sekhukhune gore re humile ebile re filwe gona mola go tabeng e le ya diminerale mara go lebelela naga ya borena ka mokgwa e leng ka gona e tloga e sa kgahle maso go ya ka ditšweletša tše re na leng le tsona le diminerale tše re na leng le tsona go tšwa gona kwa moepong ya borena mohlomongwe o ka reng go motho o leng gore ge ba le kua gae le ba fa maele le tlhaso kudu le tutuetšo ya gore rena re le baetapele ba setšhaba re gona re nyaka go thuša ebile se re se nyakang ka morago ga letšatši goba ke se le se le se and re ka rata ge naga ya borena ya Bapedi e le ka mokgwa ka morago ga mengwaga e meka
ke nnete se le se bolelang mogaši nna re ka thaba kudu ge meepo ye le mentšintši ya go feta 30 e kua nageng ya Bapedi ga sekhukhune e ka bona gore e fetoša felo lela lefelo lela e ba lefelo le le botse kudu e re kono diapapetšo e ngwenyane bona Royal Bafokeng ga bana mebaene e mentšhi go swana le ka mo ga sekhukhune mara go sepela Royal Bafokeng o a thelela go ne batho ba ne mešomo ba ne dilo tše ka moka mara e fela ke bona bojato fela ka mola re nyaka go bona naga e ya rena kudu ka mola ga sekhukhune go sepelwa go laetša gore ke ka diepiong tša nnete ba tloga ba bolela ba laetša gore ga gona diepio lefase ka moka ka bophara e se fela mo South Africa tše di botse tša go swana le tša maemo a godimo tša go swana le tše dingwe ka sekhukhune mara e fela go lebeletše bohlaki bja ntshe ke jo bogologologolo kudu e swanetše e fetola borameepo le bommameepo ba ba leng ka sekhukhune ba swanetše gore ba tsebe gore sa maloba santše se fele batho ba le ba ga sekhukhune le baetapele ba ga sekhukhune le setšhaba ka moka sela sa kwa Bopedi e be setšhaba se se kaone se se kgantšhang fatlhego tša bona di laetše gore ke mo diepio tša maemo di tswang gona ke rialo bjale ka o mongwe wa baetapele ba setšhaba
a ke go leboge Kgošigadi ya rena mme Mothapo ke re go wena mo wa rena wa Limpopo TV o seke wa šutša mo e leng gona re sa le gona mo la re kopane le bona baetapele ba o leng gore ba hlahla go ka fetola yona naga e ya Bapedi re sa ye go nwa meetse re ya boa thobela
babogedi ko gae ba Limpopo TV ke le dithiwa le nna wa tseba keng re ke le botseng re ipsine kudu ka ra kopano ya letšatši la lekgono re go tshepiše gore re tlo boa bona ke tsamaya ke le tee ke tsamaya le sesewa ka sese moramadi mo le re tlo tlhalosa gore re ithutile jwang ka no bolela le babogedi o no ba dumediša
a ke re wena mogedi wa rena wa Limpopo TV ka ga le dithiya tša bontšhitše gore le gone re ithutile tše dintšhi gona mola the range mo Protea Hotel mo e leng gore ba re kopantšhitše ke bona Bapedi Kingdom go yona kopano ele ya Bapedi Letjema economic planning mo e leng gore be go bolela ka yona go developa naga ya rena ya Bapedi ke ra Limpopo ka bophara bjale a ke re wena mo go rena wa Limpopo TV tše be re di kwa mo legono ke tšona tše e leng gore di tlo aga naga ya rena ebile ja ba ja e developa ja e yaga go swana le tše dingwe tša di-province tše re phelang mo go tšona bjale ka ona mokgwa kopano ya rena e fihlile seremong maramadi wa go rata o seke wa ba wa šuta mo le gona